Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which is a problem.
Yeah. Well, it's not. Look, I think we'll see what comes of this. Which I'm not betting on anything coming of this, but there is something interesting. Look, there's a lot of things that happen after that. The real, to me, the true outrage of Russiagate is that they didn't stop after he won the presidency. It's still pretty outrageous to try to frame a candidate. It's still pretty outrageous for Hillary Clinton to have like opposition research and use an actual, Russian spy and a British spy to do it.
Yeah.
But, that's campaign stuff. It's a little bit different. Like once he becomes the commander in chief, then you have the FBI and the CIA still working to frame him. Yeah. And this is where, and for all of that stuff, Hillary Clinton's gone, Barack Obama's gone, Brennan is gone, Comey is still there for at least a few months. And then you have like Andrew McCabe and people like that who, on his 60 Minutes interview, and anybody can go look at it, he literally said that they debated at the Justice Department, and this is the highest levels of the Justice Department. It was, Jeff Sessions would have been the Attorney General at the time, and he may have recused himself already by that time. So maybe not him, but then everybody else, like the top 2-3 guys at the Justice Department, all sat down and debated what to do. And they said they decided we're going to invoke the 25th Amendment to remove Donald Trump as president. And that basically they went around and realized they weren't going to be able to do that they weren't going to have enough people in his cabinet willing to turn on him to invoke the 25th Amendment, which the 25th Amendment is designed for Joe Biden. It's designed for, we still didn't use it, even though these last few years, which is crazy. Even after the debate, they go, we need a new candidate, but no one went, yeah, but this guy can't be commander-in-chief for the next 6 months. They just let him. But they said they were going to invoke the 25th Amendment. This is on 60 Minutes. Andrew McCabe says this himself. And that they realized they couldn't do that, and so they settled on Robert Mueller. They settled on a special prosecutor because they couldn't remove him, so this was their other attempt. We'll just bog him down. We'll investigate everything in his life. We'll find some crime somewhere. It's, to this day, a miracle that they didn't. I can't believe they didn't find any other dirt on Donald Trump. I always thought when Mueller started being the special prosecutor, I literally, and you can listen to my podcast, I'm on record. If you want to go, Part of the Problem, available wherever podcasts are sold. You could listen back to, I said at the time, I go, they're not going to find anything on Russiagate because there's nothing there. This is all made up. But they're going to find something. The guy's been a real estate developer in New York City for how many decades now? Every real estate developer has committed a few crimes. And they found nothing. They locked up, they charged a bunch of his people around him with tax crimes and other things that had nothing to do with Russiagate. Then they tried to put pressure on them to flip on him. That's how they do these things. None of them had anything on him. And so anyway, but the point is that it was the deep state attempting to remove the sitting president of the United States of America off of something that they knew was bullshit. You had people, Eric Swalwell was out on cable news saying, not only an asset, saying Donald Trump is a Russian agent. He's working for Vladimir Putin. He's his guy here. And they all knew this was bullshit. I mean, that's
repeated online ad nauseum.
Oh, and online on CNN, on MSNBC, everything. On ABC, everything. CBS, every day. Trump-Russia collusion.
And many of those same people are still telling you what's true. Many of those same people are still in front of a camera telling you what's true.
Yeah,
and
they're
never
still
apologize.
That's right. Then they're the same ones up there going, we got to arm Ukraine till the end. We got to give Israel more bombs to drop on the Palestinians.
Are they even covering this? Like, how is MSNBC handling this Tulsi Gabbard revelation?
Or I think by changing their name to MS Now. You're supposed to forget.
So did NBC bail out?
I think
Microsoft and NBC are together in this joint venture. That's MSNBC.
Yeah, I think they, I don't know exactly what they're doing, but I saw it was announced the other day that they're changing it from MSNBC to MS Now.
Do they think it's toxic? They think MSNBC
I guess
so.
Is toxic?
I
guess. Yeah. They're not wrong.
They're not wrong. They fucked it up. They got rid of some people, though. But they kept the queen.
Rachel Maddow?
Yeah.
I think she's the only one who pulls in any type of numbers,
She's what she did during COVID was so preposterous.
Yeah.
Just that alone. There's so many times where she's, Matt Taibbi wrote a great book, Hate Inc.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically said Rachel Maddow is the left's Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah, I think that's about fair.
Yeah.
And it's really...
It probably is not fair to Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah, Bill O'Reilly was pretty rough in his day. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know if he's as inaccurate. Like, that was horribly inaccurate.
It was bad.
The COVID stuff and then the Russia stuff. Like, is there a thing that you could point to that Bill O'Reilly pushed that was a hoax for all those years?
Iraq.
Right.
I mean, they were so bad on Iraq, dude. Yeah. Bill O'Reilly and Sean Hannity and all those guys, I mean, they were just like, I mean, it's just like as if it was a certainty every day. It was a certainty that he had
worse
nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, I don't know. You could debate what's worse. I mean, you know,
No, that's worse.
Well, yes.
Don't you think that's worse?
Well, yeah. I mean, 1 million people died. So there's a strong argument that that's worse than other things. But there is something about... Look, first of all, there is something about framing the sitting U.S. president that truly is a crime against the republic in a profound sense. But the other thing about Russiagate, which I think makes it, you know, where you could maybe enter into the debate, and then COVID, you know, you can argue with all these things. It's quite as bad as the war in Iraq. I don't know. Really destroyed a lot of people's lives. But part of the reason why they framed Donald Trump. So in 2016, Donald Trump was explicitly running on, he talked about this at like all the debates, and in the beautiful kind of childlike Trumpian way where he just has no filter, so he just says the thing that's in his mind, and then he often thinks he's like a genius because no one else has said this out loud. But it's not that they haven't thought of it, it's just that they're all corrupt. But he just said, because at the time the war in Syria was going on, and Donald Trump would just say, why are we in Russia on opposite sides in the war in Syria? You know, Russia's trying to kill the terrorists. That's who we're trying to kill. Because Obama and Brennan had been siding with the terrorists. They had been funding al-Qaeda and ISIS in Syria to try to overthrow Bashar al-Assad because that was part of the clean break strategy to the 7 countries in 5 years. Yeah. This was the next guy they were trying to overthrow. They ended up getting that regime change earlier this year. So they were working on that. And then Trump just went, we should be friends with Putin. And we should work together on killing the terrorists. I don't care about overthrowing Assad. I'm not in on that plan. I don't even know what you're talking about. Why would we want to overthrow the secular dictator in a 3-piece suit who shaves his chin? He was just like, this is stupid. I don't want to be a part of that. And he was running on, we should be friends with Russia. And this drove all of the Republicans crazy. Like, what do you mean we should be friends with Russia? But that was just what he was running on. And so part of the deal of framing him for being in a conspiracy with Vladimir Putin was that he couldn't be friends with Russia anymore. And so, you know, because if Donald Trump had come in 2017 or 2018 and announced some new treaty with Vladimir Putin or some partnership or something like that, the entire media would have been like, see, that's proof. Right. We've been telling you he's in with Vladimir Putin. When he went to Helsinki, I think, aside from this week, I think that was the last time the two of them were face to face, was in Finland in 2017. I could be wrong about that, but I think that was the last time the two of them were together. And there was this big thing, I don't know if you remember this, but it was a big deal at the time, was that Donald Trump said, they asked him, well, you know, they were like, hey, your intelligence agencies are saying that Vladimir Putin interfered in the election. Did you ask him about that? And Trump goes, yeah, I asked him about that. And he told me he didn't interfere in the election. And I believe him. And then they made a huge thing about this on foreign soil. Donald Trump says he believes Vladimir Putin over his own intelligence agency. You know, the men and women who protect us every day.
The men and women who protect us.
The men and women who frame the sitting president.
Framing him.
And so
that's hilarious. What a trap.
But so that's kind of the game right there. And then you had these like conflicts that are going on, and not just ultimately what, you know, in Ukraine, right? The Civil War was already going on there. I mean, the Civil War started after 2014. This was like right in the middle of that Civil War. And so anyway, my point is just to compare it to Iraq. Who knows how big of a deal was it to poison a U.S. president who wanted to have détente with Putin at that time? Like maybe we could have avoided this whole thing, and that the death toll, you know, I don't know. I've seen different reporting on it, but it's close to Iraq. I mean, it's. I think it's more military and less civilians, which does matter. But it's up there. It doesn't matter
when you're forcing civilians to
Well,
be
that's
military.
a good point. That's a good point, too. Yeah, that's right. So, you know, I mean, look, it still changes the moral calculation a little bit. When someone puts on a uniform and is holding a gun, it's a little bit different than a kid or something like that. But, you know, the crime of killing the potential for a president to make peace with Putin. I mean, this is the thing that's so like infuriating about all of it, And something that really, it's like, well, I'm told, like, I'm not an expert. You're just a comedian. It's like, leave this to the serious experts here. But the thing that's so goddamn frustrating and just, like, profoundly reckless is that, look, like, when the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, and you could go back before that, but, like, let's just take that as a point to start. Like, it should have been obvious to any, like, if there really was this class of experts, I would be so happy to turn this over to them. Let me go tell jokes at the mothership. That's what I'm supposed to do, not this. Like, fine. But the thing is, if there were serious, rational adults who had wisdom way beyond what some shit-talking comedian knows about, which there should be, then they would have recognized that, like, the most important priority in the history of the world is the relationship between DC and Moscow. There's never been anything more important than that. And that doesn't even matter whether you're a Russian or an American. You could, like, it doesn't matter if you live in Brazil or wherever. The most important thing in the history of the world is these two capitals that have like 90% of the world's nuclear weapons between the two of them get along. Okay, like, this is the most important thing. This could end our species if they don't. So, like, let's make sure they do. And that seemed to have been the priority of almost no one in power. A few exceptions to that, but almost nobody went like, so again, my point is, poisoning the relationship between a president who wants peace with Russia is on the level of launching a war in Iraq. I mean, it's like, it's that bad of a thing to do.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully it doesn't get to that point, but it is a profoundly reckless thing to do.
Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah.
It's so tangled that one of the things about politics, I think for most people that's so frustrating, is because you don't see a way out. You don't see, like, oh, if we just do this, that, and this, and people say things like, oh, we just need to take money out of politics.
Yeah.
How you can do that?
Well,
that's crazy. We should just make all people honest. How about
that? Yeah, right,
that might be easier.
Well, there's also...
might be easier.
That's like, it's a talking point. I don't even mean to downplay that. Like, I'm not, it's an understandable point.
It's correct.
Yes, it's a nice idea. I think the issue, like, this is what I've always seen, like, the issue with the kind of take money out of politics angle, and why I think the better approach is to take politics out of money. Like, I think, and I'm not saying either is easy to do, but the issue that you have, and I know that there's a lot of, like, people I really love really say that all the time. They go, like, you got to take money out of politics. And I would certainly support, like, if there was, I think Rand Paul had a proposal a few years ago where it was like, if you make any money from a government contract, you should not be allowed to work in that sector for 20 years after you made there. So, like there's something like, you shouldn't be able to be a defense contractor and then, you know what I mean, go into
revolving door.
Yes, so and anything like that probably is a good idea if you can get it passed. Good luck getting it passed, but like but the issue really comes, like, the major problem is that Washington D.C. is the most powerful, organization in the history of the world, that they spend $7 trillion a year. And that is so much power. Like, it's hard to quantify. It's literally like if you think about it in your mind, right? Like, you think about, like, how much money Elon Musk has. And then just to think that 1 year of federal spending is like squishing him like an ant. Like, it's nothing, dude. Like, the money Elon Musk has is nothing compared to $7 trillion, That's just 1 year, what they spend in Washington, D.C. And when you have that much concentrated power, the idea of saying, well, we're going to write a rule that says nobody's allowed to try to manipulate that power. It's like, okay. And then, look, there are rules. There's all types of rules.
That's a funny way to put it, because it's like so undeniable.
Well, look, there are rules that say that, like, foreigners aren't allowed to contribute to political campaigns. And, like, there's different regulations on all of them. But, like, Saudi Arabia is not allowed to give Hillary Clinton's campaign $10 million. But they could give the Clinton Foundation $10 million. You know what I mean? So, like, you write these rules, they find another way to do it. By the way, all that money, the Clinton Foundation was making so much money until right around 2016, everyone stopped donating to it. It's just so weird. Like the Saudis were really into charity, you know, until right around that. So the point is that you can't, the only thing, like it's not the lesson of the Lord of the Rings wasn't like, we really need some common sense regulations about how you use this ring, right? Like the lesson is that you have to destroy this thing. And that's tough. I'm not saying that's easy. I don't know who our Frodo is, but the point is that this power has, so this is fundamentally, I think, why I think the Ron Paul libertarians have it right. And while I really do respect some other left-wingers, I think they have it wrong when they go like, no, we need the government to be working for us rather than working for them. It's like, that is unrealistic. It's unrealistic enough that we'll just be able to cut. But the answer is that there should be way less power in Washington, D.C. I mean, that's George Washington's constitutional republic that we're supposed to be living under, is the idea is that there's like, oh, Washington, D.C. has very little power. The states have a lot of power. The people have a lot of power. It's not all concentrated in one capital, because then you get what we have.
Yeah, and once it's fully secured, like it is now, and just deeply ingrained, like the tentacles of this octopus go so deep. There's so much money involved, and there's so many people that are in a position of power. It's like it's very hard to change what it is now. I think the best hope that we have is going to sound ridiculously romantic, but youth. I think there's people that are growing up now that have a better understanding of how things work than ever before. You know, this guy Michael Button was on the other day. He's a historian, or, you know, his degree in ancient history. And we were talking about how science changes one funeral at a time. You know, I think politics probably changes one funeral at a time too. And the way, you know, like, I don't agree with this Mondani guy, the guy in New York City, but I also don't agree that this should be this massive coordinated campaign from both sides to make sure that he doesn't get into power. Yeah. Because you don't agree with him. Like, I think a lot of the stuff he's saying is ridiculous. Like using New York City funds to pay for transgender surgeries for people who can't afford them. Like,
I'm a nay on that. Yeah,
but it just sounds nuts. It sounds like you're only going for that nutty vote. You want that nutty vote. But what is this? Are we allowed to disagree? So I disagree. I don't support that. I don't support a lot of the stuff he's saying. The raising of taxes, I think, is going to be really problematic, but I'm not an economist. But what is this game we're playing? Is it the people get to vote? Because the people voted. Yeah. And they voted and he won the primary. So it's supposed to be the Democrats get behind him, and then it's the Democrats versus the Republicans. Or are we doing something different?
No, the people get to vote, but if they vote wrong, then the powerful might have to come in and let the people know that they have erred and they're, you know.
But it's a unique time to see a power struggle.
Well, look, he's such, and I should, I guess, preface by saying, first of all, I find this race to be a fascinating microcosm of where we're at politically in so many different ways. And I should preface by saying, I am the most free market capitalist libertarian guy. I don't believe in socialism at all. Most libertarians are communists compared to me. Like, I believe in less, whatever government you believe in, I believe in less than that. So I do not agree with Mamdani's, any of his economic policies. There is something, though, that you just can't deny, where it's like, okay, look, first of all, you got this young guy who's kind of the anti-establishment candidate. He's an immigrant. He's a newcomer to politics. He's a newcomer to being a citizen of the country, however you feel about that. His campaign was laser focused on one issue, which was the unaffordability of New York City, which, if anybody at all is familiar with New York City, that is the issue of New York City. It's the issue for 99% of the people who live in New York City. The top 1% in New York City are doing great, but everybody else is just struggling to get by. You're either rich or you're struggling in New York City. Right. And the prices have gone up dramatically in the last few years. So he just ran his whole campaign laser focused on that. Then the establishment comes in and they run Andrew Cuomo. the disgraced former governor who murdered old people in nursing homes, who got, had a Me Too thing, which I don't know how legit that was, but got driven out in disgrace. Governor Lockdown, representing the failure that just wrecked this city, is who. And then what did they try to hit him on? It was Israel. They thought that was his weakness. It was, dude, that debate was the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life.
So bizarre.
It's like, imagine picking, it's like, it's literally like if you were fighting like Islam Makhachev or something like that, and you went, I'm going to attack his wrestling. That's where I think he's weak. And you'd be like, wait, what? No, like,